right, folks, John Rush today, your host, and my son Richard Rush behind the camera. This is going to be a review of the 2016, all-new 2016 Fiat 500X. Now, we've only had this car for a day. We're not going to get it much longer than that, just the way this particular car is working out on the schedule. Haven't had a lot of time with this car, so I tell you what, we'll do the best we can, give you the best review we can. In this particular car, you're going to have to really get out and drive the car because we're only going to be able to give you just a little bit of what we know about the car because, again, only been in it for less than 24 hours. Let's take a walk around the car real quick. Again, 2016 Fiat 500X, built on the Renegade platform. So I guess you could say this is the Italian cousin to the Renegade, to the Jeep Renegade. Of course, FCA owning both Fiat and Jeep and Chrysler and Dodge. This is coming off of the Renegade platform. It's a better looking car as far as I'm concerned than the Renegade. Some of the downsides of it, though, as you can tell, because it's a little bit more compact looking, it is more compact. We'll go in a minute here and show you the rear luggage room and so on, or storage room, I should say. Back seat, really short, not a lot of room back here in the back. But it is a good looking car. It is an all-wheel drive vehicle. The rear wheels disconnect. It's a front wheel drive typically, where the rear wheels will engage as needed. I tell you, the one thing about the car I noticed, though, just driving it the short distances that we had, I went to Denver in it back and forth yesterday, and it's a little bit squirrely at times. In other words, you got to really be careful when you're moving the steering wheel because it's so short, it doesn't take much steering wheel movement, and in turn, tends to follow the lines in the road a little bit, if you would. So I tell you what, we'll just keep the camera rolling. This is going to be a shorter review than we typically do. We'll go through the back here. Let me pop the back hatch. It's not automatic. I did have to pull that up. And you'll notice, and I know our lighting is tough, it's got a deep area to store items into, so you can see it really comes down deep, which is kind of nice. There is a platform you can put in. You can see the ridges where you can actually move the platform down, or put a platform in it, I should say, and have double storage. As I raise this up, that's exactly what this is for. This comes up. You've got double compartments that way to where you can actually have storage here and then storage as I raise this up down underneath both, which is kind of a nice thing. So it kind of gives you a double tiered storage system. And believe me, you need it because there's not a lot of room back here. As you notice the slope up, you're not going to put anything super high in the back. In some of the other reviews out there, the complaints have been there's not a lot of cargo room in the back. And you know what? They're exactly right. As I go into the back seat, and I'll just sit in here real quick. Actually, I'm not even going to sit in there. You can see from looking, there's not a lot of leg room. This seat is back for about a 5'10", 5'11" person. Granted, it could go forward some, but even the other seat, you can see for me, I'm 5'10", and you can see there's not a lot of leg room in this back seat. So it is pretty compact. The seats do fold down. There's a lever back here where they do fold down, but again, this seat would have to go forward to even get this to fold down all the way. So one of the complaints that I would have personally, not a lot of back room seating capacity in this car. This really, I would say, is built, it's a car built for, two people. It's not going to be a family car. You're not going to put, 4 people in it on a regular basis, but if you're looking for a good commuter vehicle, something to go to and from, all-wheel drive, does look good. It is a Fiat. One of the downsides that we've noticed with Fiat is the reliability factor on some of the Fiats not as good as it could be. Hopefully that will improve, but the historically here lately, the Fiat does not score well. Consumer Reports and some of the others out there does not score high when it comes to the quality side of the fence. Does that mean I wouldn't buy the car? No, it just means you need to do a lot of research and determine if this is a car for you. Fuel economy in this car, back and forth to Denver, I drove it about 60 miles so far, 30 miles to the gallon. So that part of it you can't complain about. This does have the 2.4 liter engine, 180 horsepower. You can get an optional 1.4 liter engine in it, turbocharged, and that car at our altitude probably works very well, but this car does have the 2.4 liter. So I tell you what, we'll take a real quick drive, and really I've kind of given you my opinion already of the 2016 Fiat 500X. Let's go for a real quick drive. All right, folks, and because it's windy and a little bit cooler outside in Colorado, you can tell we've still got snow on the ground. We had about a foot of snow less than a week ago, actually right out a week ago. My son Richard is in the back seat, and the first comment he made when he got into the back seat and crawled in there is, wow, not very comfortable in the back seat. Now, apportionments inside, not bad. In fact, they've done a really good job. It's not what you typically could remember in a previous generation's Fiat. They've really done a good job. One of the things I noticed in this car, dual climate control, which on this small of a cabin, I guess it's a great feature, but I'm not really sure how much you'd actually use it given the fact that you're not that far apart from one another anyways. But it does have dual climate control, heated front seats. does have heated steering wheel, which was a nice feature this morning on the cold morning. It does have 3 different drive modes. You've got, actually I should say 4 drive, or sorry, it does have 3 drive modes. Normal, a sport mode, and then a snow mode that you can actually switch into, and you can control some of that through the screen up here with the buttons on the steering wheel. Again, I talked about earlier how the car, it drives a little bit weird, especially as you get up in speed, and if there's any kind of a pavement change, you can really feel it in the vehicle. Now again, not saying that's a downside to the vehicle, it's just the way the vehicle is. So as far as backup camera is concerned, it does have that. I put it in reverse. It does have grid lines, and I should say they do turn, is what I meant to say a second ago. So as I back up over here to the curb, you can see it is a smaller screen, but still gives the ability with the grid lines built into it, and everything is touch interface. This is the Uconnect system that you're used to seeing in a Chrysler. It's just a much smaller screen than what you normally would see on the big 8.4 touchscreen. But everything is there. It works good. The audio is good. Phone syncing capability works well. Let's just take a real quick drive. And again, I apologize. We just haven't had a lot of time in this car, so some of the nuances that you might see, in some of the other reviews, we're not going to be able to share with you because we just haven't spent that much time in the car. It's amazing how much more used to a car and how many more things you can see in a car when you're in it for several days in a row. Actually, we typically get about a week inside of a car, and it's amazing how much further or how much more knowledge you gain after driving a car for a week, even when it comes to just some of the idiosyncrasies in the car. How does it drive? How does it run? How does it perform in all the different conditions? Literally, I drove this car down the highway, a little bit of city driving yesterday, and that was about the extent of it. I don't even think I put 1/8 of a tank through it at this point. But again, 30 miles to the gallon, 2.4 liter engine. Car works well, performs well. I had no problem getting up in speed with traffic. All of that part of it works great. And the other thing I will tell you that was surprising to me on this car, and this is something that you wouldn't notice until you get it out on highway speeds, relatively quiet interior. And what I mean by relatively is there's other cars this car competes with that are much louder on the interior than this car is. So Fiat, you guys did a good job on that side of the fence. Very quiet interior, very comfortable to drive. Again, though, it's probably made for a 2-person family. This isn't something where you're going to throw the kids in the back seat. You could occasionally put some passengers in the rear seat, but I would not do that on a daily routine basis. Again, with that, go out, check out this car at your local Fiat dealer. Drive it for yourself, get behind the wheel, and when you're there, let them know that John and Richard Rush from Drive Radio sent you. Hey folks, real quick also, one thing I forgot to mention, I'll add this into the review. Price, I forgot to mention the price again because we spent so little time in the car. $27,000 and some change on this car, and it does have the $1,500 option package on it, which gives you a lot of the features I've talked about. Heated seats, heated wheel, blind spot monitoring, all of those things are included. Again, $27,000. So when you look at the car and you say, oh, I don't know, that's not really a car for me. $27,000 and some change, all-wheel drive, get you to and from where you're going. Again, not a lot of cargo room and rear seat capacity, but hey, it's 30 miles to the gallon and it's all-wheel drive. That side of the fence, pretty good value for $27,000.